Now, the South African Police Service has set aside nearly 2 billion rands to enhance police visibility. Police Minister Bheki Cele made the announcement while tabling the fourth quarter crime statistics this afternoon. The figures reveal that murder increased countrywide by 3.4% between January and March 2023. The Automobile Association, on the other hand, has reacted to these devastating numbers. AA's CEO Willem Groenewald joins us now to give us their findings as far as these numbers are concerned. Willem, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on tonight here on In Focus. Is the picture painted by the minister as far as at least crime in the fourth quarter, the last 90 days, matching up to the picture that you have as far as how South Africans are feeling as far as safety and security is concerned in the country?
Good evening to you. Thank you for having me on your show. Good evening, South Africa. And yes, it's a dire situation, what we're facing at the moment. Our research shows that 69 out of 100 South Africans do not feel safe in South Africa. The crime pandemic has raged out of control, and it's a situation that has become a huge concern for any South African living in our beautiful country. If we read the crime stats that's been published in the period January to March this year, 6,200 people was murdered. That is not acceptable by any terms or any means. So this is a huge problem, and it certainly resonates with the research that we have done, and it certainly speaks to the concerns that South Africans have on a national scale.
Yeah, we'll come to the 31%. Let's start with the 69%. Why are they feeling unsafe? Is it because at some point or the other, one, they have been threatened by criminal activity, they experienced the criminal activity and did not get, I suppose, the satisfactory response in terms of the criminal justice system?
I think it's a range of issues. Conventionally, when you grow up, a police officer is somebody that you go to for safety. I don't think South Africans has the courage or the conviction that the police services or Metro Police Services are there to come to their aid and keep them safe. It is a general statement. It doesn't apply to all police officers or all Metro Police officers, but the rule of law in South Africa has demised to the point that people are not safe, and the authorities that should keep people safe is not purported to be that, and they're not seen to be that, and therefore South Africans are not feeling safe within those environments.
Now, it is believed in some instances, you know, it's only the wealthy of this country that would feel safe, or maybe even the political elite who have bodyguards and all sorts of such things around them all the time that really do not experience the extent of crime that many poor South Africans are experiencing in the ground. Would you say that that is where that 31% would be lying?
I wouldn't think so. I think there's isolated instances where people live an insular life. They perhaps don't travel as frequently as they used to. They are homebound. I think also post-COVID and the pandemic, people's behavior have changed. They're not as social as they used to be. They prefer to be homebound. I don't think it's a classification of rich or poor, whether people feel safe or not. In fact, we've seen an instance of the rise of hijackings and abductions happening with more wealthy people, where ransom is now charged with people being taken, whether it's them or children. So I don't think it's got much to do with the class of income, whether the wealthy or the poor face challenges regarding crime distinctly differently. Obviously, in areas that doesn't have the wealth, that have less security, they have less access to security and protection. They have less privacy in terms of their homes and security and safety within those environments. So obviously, the mass population of South Africa is exposed to crime, more so than people in affluent areas, no doubt. But the sentiment shared across the country is the same. I want to take you back to the riots that took place in KZN, where South Africa rose as a nation to say enough is enough, and they would form a barrier where the police services couldn't come to their aid and rescue. So I think it's a national problem. It's not a wealthy or a poor problem. It is a national problem.
Yeah. The employ of private security, do you find that it certainly shifts that perception index as far as security is concerned, either up or down?
I like connecting with people. Recently I went to the RTMC to renew my license. I had a great experience, and I spoke to one of the police officers there. In terms of their annual earnings and what they get paid on a monthly basis, these people are exposed to crime on a continuous basis. The way we see it as an association, we don't see ourselves separate from the country and the country's problems. What we want to do is provide a grid of commercial support through a web and a network of security within South Africa to provide support to the South African police services, to Metro Police, that we do our part of the association to provide backup to these guys and provide technology, services, and unite security companies, more than 220 of these companies nationwide through the CERA network, to provide support to police services where they are not able to get to, assisting ordinary South Africans that has the first basic right to human safety and security. And that is what our purpose is as an association.
Yeah. You see, for example, I see one of the things that you're suggesting here is as far as what you've find out from the people is their willingness, for example, to carry a personal security panic device with them. And many people, when the Premier of Gauteng suggests this, they seem to want to make fun of what he's suggesting, to say, well, what is the panic button really going to help us with if you press the button and nobody is going to actually show up to assist you, because just the policing in South Africa, even the police themselves say so, is reactive more than it is proactive. Do you really believe that something such as a panic button device could certainly help in terms of responses to possible criminal activity?
I can assure you that through a network of a digitized security application, such as what we have within the Automobile Association, you don't need a panic device, you don't need a panic button. These panic buttons are more expensive. A panic button, by virtue of its functionality, geolocates a person. It works for cases such as abductions, where we can track and locate you and come to your rescue. Most South Africans have access to a mobile telephone or cellular device. Within that device, we have an application where you can hail for services. You press your panic, and our statistics show that between 9 to 15 minutes in urban areas, we will have an armed response officer by your side to assist you in your emergency, whether it is a security emergency or a medical emergency, and we can come to your rescue. 67% of contact crime happens in the Gauteng region, and you have a 100% better chance than getting help by having a panic solution on your mobile application, provided that you have data, versus relying on police services that is stretched. They don't have the capacity to get you. They don't have sufficient resources, vehicles. It's not that they don't want to help us. Please let it be known that I have a huge amount of respect for the South African police services and Metro Police and the work that they do. They have a very, very tough job to do. What we are saying is let's increase the web of access of security to South Africa, and let's unite as business, as commerce, as associations to support our government, to support security, to support police services, to keep South Africans safe. Yeah. Your question, does it work? Absolutely, yes, it does.
And how would then this application, for example, pick up who it is, what happens, how you register on the platform? How does it actually work, and how would it be accessible to all and have wide coverage?
So, for example, and I'm sensitive to not making this a sales pitch, it's not a sales pitch, but we are offering as an association free armed response to any child under the age of 18. All we need is one consenting adult to give consent for the child, up to 3 children to sign up on their mobile application, and they can have free armed response courtesy of the Automobile Association of South Africa. For 35 Rand a month, you can then access your mobile application. You go onto the app, the AA Armed Response app, you register, you record your name, your identification details, and the minute that is done, if you have an emergency, you press your button, and this would go and triangulate your position. It would go to our call center, and the minute that you activate the panic, you will receive a call to say, hey, what is your emergency? We know where you are, we can locate you, and we can send help your way. Whether it's medical, security, whatever your emergency is, we will go there to assist you. We have 220 armed response operatives nationwide to come to your rescue. We have medical services deployed on this platform. It works similar to an Uber triangulation service, so we can locate you by name to know exactly where you are. In the event that it's a false panic, all you need to do is provide the last 4 digits of your cell phone number, and the call would be deactivated. But we've been running this for the last year and a half to huge success. You know, in cases of gross domestic violence, where a woman gets beaten up at home, we have saved lives. We have taken people out of informal settlements that used our panic device, where we could triangulate and find them. We are saving lives as we speak. Not in isolation to the police. We are working with the police as a backup and as supplementary services. Right. We are not separate from the country, and we are not separate from the country's problems. Yes. We are here to provide a solution as a collective service to our nation.
So what I hear you say, Willem, is that over and above, for example, the minister says they'll spend a couple of billions in terms of visibility, get more cars, get more boots on the ground. You're saying over and above that, yes, visibility could certainly have a role to play, but you would need something over and above that, something of this response nature, and certainly private sector playing a part in it.
Of course, a problem shared is a problem halved. It is not government's problem. It is a South African national problem. So what we are saying, we have the technology available to triangulate instances. We have a barometer. We can tell South Africa where contact crime is taking place. Every time there's an incident, we can tell you the nature of the incident, where it's taken place, what happened, what the response times were, etc., etc. We have the opportunity to change this country. We have the opportunity to do our part, to be the backbone of the solutions. We welcome and celebrate the volume of investment that is being spoken about. But the problem that we need to solve today is not just boots on the ground. We need to restore respect for the rule of law. A person that makes a transgression, if you have an infringement in South Africa and you get caught drunk driving, it's a standing joke that people carry cash in their glove box to say, we'll pay away the problem. That is the problem. If you have an infringement, if you drink drive and you kill people, there must be consequences. The conviction rates are below 5% of people committing crimes. It is the enforcement. It goes through the whole channel. The arrest, the conviction, and the prosecution of criminals needs to be taken seriously. And that is the problem. We can deploy another 100,000 police officers. If the rule of law is not respected, and people don't know that there's consequences for infringements, nothing will change. The rule of law has to be upheld, and the rule of law has to be respected. The day that that happens, we will see change in our country.
Willem, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. That is the Automobile Association CEO there, Willem Groenewald, and their intervention as far as the crime statistics for the last 90 days as released by the Department of Police earlier on today.